Wow, you got it right this time.
Yeah, I did. Wow.
Thank you so much
I
for
was so
introducing me
nervous
correctly.
yesterday. Yeah.
It's been pretty amazing, you know, ever since the pilot. Our writers, producers, they've been awesome. For me specifically, you know, they've written my character very well. Then they have, by the way, spoiler alert, not written my character very well. Season 4, episode 19. Is it 419? Nobody knows. Okay, good. We'll keep it like that. And then they bring your character back, and then they start writing for you again. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because in the first part, you were more. It was more an evil character. And
sorry, say that again.
The first part from Arrow, it was more an evil character. What you played?
The first part.
Yeah, the first
was a pure, nice, driven, good-hearted, big-hearted, warm, loving Laurel, who then hit rock bottom, who then came out back on top, became a superhero.
Yeah.
And got stabbed by Damien Dark, and then came back as Laurel Earth 2, the Black Siren, the evil Laurel.
Ah, okay.
What male character? Any male character? Could it be villain? Could it be like... It would be pretty cool to be... Oh gosh, there's so many. Sorry, my head just sort of like kind of went everywhere. It would be cool to be Superman. I would love to fly. Also, if that means I can avoid sort of airports and any kind of aviation travel, I will definitely take that. It would be kind of fun to be the Penguin. Penguin?
Yeah.
From Batman? Yes, yes, no, yes. Okay.
The Gotham Batman, the Gotham Penguin, or the more Gotham.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of you and also of Katie Logs. And I was actually wondering if there was ever, like, if you know, wow. If Sarah and Earth and Laurel are ever going to meet, and how that would go down. Probably.
Sarah and Earth to Laurel.
Yes.
Interesting. I've actually brought this up to our showrunner, Mark Guggenheim, because when I was doing research and backstory for Black Siren, I specifically asked, is there a world in which Black Siren will meet Sarah and or Laurel Earth 1, and if so, what does that look like? And he just said, interesting, ... So I feel like that's more like, stay tuned. We'll see how that turns out. So I definitely think there's a world in which they play that out, and we'll see what happens. It'd be pretty crazy. In silence, actually. I'm not kidding. When I first started doing the Canary Cry and they had me bring it to screen, I was really stressed out about the fact that I would be screaming, probably quite loud, and also in the middle of the night in downtown Vancouver, shooting outside. People, I don't know, they may not realize we're shooting a TV show and I'm playing a character that scream could kill someone. Or at least, you know, damage their eardrums. So I just literally just did it without a sound. So imagine just like a sound. And that's been sort of the way whoever's come after me has sort of handled the whole situation, because also we really would love to continue having a voice and being able to work days after. And if you're screaming at the top of your lungs, chances are that, yeah, I would not be able to speak or shoot other scenes. So it's kind of in silence. It's fun though. It's awesome. She's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But what do you like to play more, Black Siren or Black Canary?
I like my job. I can't answer that. I love playing both characters. They've been really fun. Very challenging, very different, although obviously similar. So It's been tricky, but I'm having a blast, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the goal of She Authority and how we could help achieve that goal.
Yes, girl power. Women, yeah, we support each other. I think that's exactly everything that you just said. Honestly, I met Katie Lotz, Danielle Panabaker. These are girls I work with, girls that probably at some point in our careers we've been in competition with one another. However, getting to know each other, we've realized being in part of this Arrowverse that we've created, supporting one another just makes us stronger together. And it's really cool to have girlfriends who you see succeed and feel you can watch them and be proud. And you know, I think women empowering one another, especially right now in this day and age, is incredibly important, and we're stronger together. So I truly believe that, and I think that if we build each other up, we are unstoppable.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm guessing you're asking how I felt when I found out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I cried. To be honest with you, I was, you know, obviously sad. I did not it's so funny. We start the season 4, and I've been roommates with Danielle Panabaker and Katie Lotz for the past, not at the same time, different times, but Danielle, then Katie, now Danielle again. And at the time, I was roommates with Danielle, and it was beginning of season 4. I remember her asking me, I think I mentioned this yesterday, and she had said, well, what if you're in the grave? And I remember looking at her and being like, I don't even know if anybody's in the grave. This is television. Like, maybe there's no one in the grave. Who knows? No. And then, yes, cut to February and getting a phone call that Mark and Wendy want to have lunch to discuss things. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm in the grave. And lo and behold, I was. It sucked, but it happens. I understood from a writing perspective, producer's perspective, because it's a platform for all the other main characters for storyline and driving them in different directions. And I'm really glad they brought me back. Yeah. I'm having fun.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I just wanted to say that you're a brilliant actress.
Thank you so much.
And I was wondering if you could change one thing about Laurel's death, what would you change?
Well, it was too simple, in my opinion, at least. She just like got out of nowhere, just like got stabbed, and then what? And I also, she was alive, and then all of a sudden had a seizure and wasn't. It was just if it would make a little bit more sense, I think, or have a little bit more merit to it. However, having said that, I think they've done a good job so far, and hopefully they continue to do so. I think it would be kind of cool to be Spartan. John Diggle. Yeah? Yeah, I love that. He's got his back. Arrow's gonna take it, you know. It's a little bit of that Batman and Robin thing.
Oh, nice.
It's awesome.
Oh, right. Oh, bye.
Sweet, thank you.
I was wondering, in what way do you relate most to Laurel?
Laurel is very dedicated, and she's a fighter, and I think that also comes along with being stubborn. I definitely think those are some qualities that I can relate to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, this is really rude, but this question is sort of not about you, but I love you.
By the way, I appreciate the way you start that sentence.
Sorry.
No. Please go ahead.
I was wondering what it was like to work alongside Katie Lotz.
She is awesome. She's awesome.
I know.
We are so lucky. I started with pilot, and then learning that they were bringing my sister back was great. But as an actor, you never really know, who you're gonna end up having to spend 90% of your time with.
Uh-huh.
But we were really, really fortunate. Our cast not only are they good actors, but they're really, really incredibly good people. And Katie Lotz is a huge testament to that. So is Danielle Panabaker. Everyone has been, you know, especially for the females, you know, like I said, She Authority, that's where it all comes from. We support one another and stand up for one another, and I think that's really important. And she's a badass chick, and I'm proud of her, honestly.
Okay. Well, see you in June in Dortmund because I'm coming for you again. So
Okay, perfect.
Bye.
Awesome, thank you. I wish I would have had a little bit more of that $1 million baby moment of transitioning from, you know, Laurel into, she hits rock bottom, into the superhero. And I just remember I was very much always looking forward to that whole transition, and I put so much effort and time and dedication to it physically. I do wish they would have played that out a little bit more, but I'm still very fortunate and very happy with the way they went with everything.
thank you so much.
Thanks.
Your dad in the series from Arrow.
My dad?
Yeah,
Paul
from Arrow.
Blackthorne?
From Arrow.
Yeah, Paul Blackthorne.
Yeah. Does he feel like a real dad to you right
Paul
now?
Blackthorne, not necessarily a dad, but more of a friend who is an older male figure, sure, who I would ask maybe advice from. However, an actual dad, not necessarily. However, but we also do speak out, like all the scenes that we have together, we work similar. And so he and I will sit down and do backstory and script analysis and sort of just come up and create some sort of world for which our characters existed before Arrow. And creatively, it's really fun to do that, so.
All right, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just this morning when you saw me.
Yes, every time I see him, I just cry because I'm just so starstruck. Also, Justin Timberlake. I used to be a huge NSYNC fan, and I remember I went to Wango Tango or something one year, and I was really, I don't know, it must have been 11 or 12. I had that moment where here's someone, obviously I had a big crush on him. He's Justin Timberlake from NSYNC. My friends and I in school, we looked up to them. We obviously were fangirls of them, and there was Justin Timberlake in a golf cart, sitting awkwardly and uncomfortably as I am standing there shaking and crying in tears because I'm so starstruck.
So you know what it's like.
Oh, I do. And then also after he leaves, drives off, security takes him away. They're like, someone control this girl. She is, something's wrong. Like, I don't know what's happening with her, but just keep him away from her. Yeah, I get it. Thinking back, and then after he's just taken away, I'm like, wow, this just happened to me. Okay, I get it. I understand.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Nothing that tops the one that I said yesterday. And they all include John Barrowman. So I'm just gonna let you use your imagination because chances are, you're right, that probably happened. I'm gonna be very clear, very upfront on this question, actually. No, it wasn't hard to. I was kind of mad. They killed my character off. So I was like, okay, you want me to come back and you want me to be mean to all of you guys? Okay. That's no problem. Somewhere, it was easy for me to channel that, you know, frustration, as I'm sure we all can relate. You know, it's a job happens, and sometimes, whether it be they decide they let go of the character or position or whatever it might be, kind of sucks to be on the other end, but it's reality and you just have to rise above it.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, thank you to everyone who's supported me throughout this whole getting killed off, being brought back, because I actually do. I think I think you guys have a huge influence. And
I'm happy to hear that. So we are not allowing you to die again.
Exactly. So thank you guys so much. I certainly owe most of it to you. The support was pretty unbelievable, and you guys have been pretty unbelievable. So thank you, and thank you for continuing to support me.
And what?
How is it for us to shoot this?
Yes. How is the plan? How everything works out? Like how many
It's the
times?
most chaotic, stressful, exhausting period. All 4 shows, which let's just say that's probably about 1,000 people, maybe 800. Let's just say 800 people in our entire lives that has to figure out. I really give it off to hats off to our line producers, our producers, our ADs, writers, and everyone involved in the creative aspect, because to pull Greg Berlanti, you know, Mark Guggenheim, to pull something like this off is so difficult, and the fact that they've been able to do it and do it successfully is a huge testament to them. And so I definitely, you know, props to them, and the fact, you know, our crew puts up with it, our actors survive it, our crew survives it, because everybody's basically has the flu after we shoot, because episode 6, 7, or 8 usually is when our crossovers happen, and usually we have the flu, but we somehow make it through.
Alright.
And it's because of the fans, because we know how much you guys enjoy it too.
Alright. Please keep doing that. We love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Do you think Black Siren will join Team Arrow at the moment in the series?
Black Siren?
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. I feel like that would just sort of, you know, she's a bit of a loose cannon. It would sort of mix things up a bit, but who knows?
Okay.
You got to keep watching.
I will.
Okay.
Hi, here I am again. I actually have a friend from a friend of mine. Her name is Jade, and she lives in Italy. She's also a really big fan of yours, and she really wants to know what you think is the best part about playing Black Canary.
I think the journey that she's been through. Well, obviously Laurel, but you know, whether it be Katie Lotz, myself, Juliana, I think that, you know, we all have a certain interpretation, and for me it was she's a fighter, and she rises above. She shall overcome is sort of what innately kind of comes to me, and that's strength and female empowerment, equality, you know, all of these things come to my mind as my interpretation of the Black Canary, and I'm sure Katie Lotz and Juliana, they probably have other things that, you know, what it means to them, or each of us is probably different, but a hero, you know?
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Would you ever want to travel with the legends?
Would I ever want to,
Travel with the legends.
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Where would you want to go to?
I want to travel the world.
Like what?
In all times. It'd be really cool, like Egypt. I don't know. Have they gone there? Have they go? No, not yet. Will they? Maybe. Who knows, right? You never know. Television.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
What's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
That I've ever acted in?
What's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
Oh, like on set or something?
For instance?
Oh, okay. I'll share this. It is really embarrassing, although maybe it might be one of those moments where you had to be there, but basically, right as I turned into this season 3, you know, it's like pressure's on. My character, me, I've been in training all hiatus for 3 months, so I come back, start season 3, and like, yeah, got a little bit of muscle. People are commenting on my muscle. Like our stunt coordinator, he'd like grab my biceps and be like, yeah. Be like, yeah. And then they put me in these fight scenes, and it's interesting because they would teach me the fight scenes, I would rehearse the fight scenes, I was actually in fight training, and then when we would shoot it, it would be my stunt double, which I understand, obviously, the insurance reasons, and also Atlan, phenomenal, but also Atlan needs a job too, so that's perfect, works out for all of us. Atlan was showing me how to sell a punch one night. It's probably it's probably not 2 in the morning. It's probably midnight, 11:30, 12. We're downtown Vancouver, and there's this huge fight scene, and it's one of the first times we see Black Canary out actually on the streets at night fighting. And she's telling me how to sell this hook, this cross. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I got this. You know, we rehearse it. I'm not, during rehearsal, I'm not going full out. So I said, yeah, on the day, I'll go full out. I'll give it. They're like, make sure you just give it your all, your adrenaline, and just your hips. You got to put your hips into it, and just make sure you sell it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, you know, they're kind of like working me up, and I'm like, yeah, got it. Lay off. So of course, when they call action, I go to throw the hook. I put all my adrenaline and everything I have into it, so much so that I basically belly flopped onto the asphalt and knocked myself over and literally was like pancaked. And being downtown, you know, there's paparazzi, there's fans, there's people, and here I am thinking I'm like this cool hotshot to then just face plant. And I was like, you guys, you just got me so pumped up. And they were like, well, good, you gotta get knocked down before you get back up again. And so I thought that was a good, something that I always sort of kept in the back of my head, just something that's true. And I appreciate it. It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. Oh yeah, not fun.
It was not fun.
I was having those dreams when you fall asleep, but your mind is awake, but your body is asleep. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you like, you're flinching, but I don't know, your mind's awake somehow, but you're... Anyways, I remember when we were shooting that, I would constantly have these dreams on an airplane because I was traveling every week back and forth, Chicago to LA. And Freddy Krueger was always trying to get me in the airplane and coming down the aisles. And I often had this thing where I would be, my body was exhausted, but my brain was so used to go. So my brain was awake and alert, but my body was tired, so I couldn't wake myself up, if that makes sense. Anyways, it was really scary and quite traumatizing, but you know, I'm happy I was able to be a part of the film.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that you were part of the film because I'm a huge fan of horror movies.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks. Bye. With a lot of things, but skydiving is definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
And what I really want to know, how did you become an actress? What's the reason when you thought you wanted to be an actress?
I was baby Jesus, so I didn't really have a choice.
Okay.
No, I think that obviously coming from a family who was in entertainment, theater, I really liked entertaining, and I do really like entertaining people, and then also just learning more about it and the psychology behind it, and you know, sort of creating these different characters and everything that it all kind of comes together. And I think that that whole process and aspect, and it being in obviously the gene pool, it's just sort of what I was born to do.
Okay. And are there any new projects you're working on, like new movies on this moment? What you can say about, of course.
Yeah, I did 2 films over the last year. One called Grace, with Tate Donovan, that is a bit more of a drama, and then one called Cover Versions with Sony, that's about...
I've seen that trailer.
Yes, Coachella and the whole murder mystery, which it was really fun.
It's with Drake Bell, I think?
Sorry?
It's with Drake Bell.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that'll be out soon.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm very curious.
Yes.
So.
I took I took fighting and kickboxing, so whenever there's actual like physical fighting, and they let me do it, I try and do it. Because I'm like, I didn't go through fight training for nothing. Guys, come on. You guys can do it. Why can't I? When it's appropriate, they let me. Thank you. Awesome, thank you. I did start reading them when my character, from season 2 to season 3, was transitioning, but I didn't read. Well, a lot of people ask me if I've read ahead of time, but it's actually very difficult for me as an individual to even do that when it comes to our episodes and our scripts. I wait until we finish shooting the episode we're currently on. Just for me, story-wise, and a person, it's better to live in the moment and not take on too much before I'm ready. So it wasn't until my character actually transitioned that I started doing research on the actual comic books and the actual comic book character in depth.
Do you like seeing them?
Oh, that's it's like a love-hate relationship because it is beneficial, I think, as an actor to watch performance, but I also think it gets you in your head into judgment. Like, there's times where I just choose not to do it, move on, let it be. Some things you just gotta let be.
Never look back.
Never look back. But it kind of depends. Sometimes it's a good learning experience. Excuse me, again, as being an actor, you want to know if there's weird mannerism, in which there used to be. I had this weird thing with my tongue I used to do, and I had no idea I was doing it, and then I started watching episodes back, and I was like, what the, I don't know what's happening, but I need to stop doing that. So I think it's definitely being too critical, though, is not good either, so.
So, I have a question.
Here I am again. So you said it was too difficult to pick between Black Canary and Black Siren, but what is your favorite thing about Earth 1 Laurel, and what's your favorite thing about Earth 2 Laurel?
I like Earth 1, well, I think all of it, all in all, feel like the fighting aspect. I think she's a fighter. Heart of gold, and I find that to be the similarity in Earth 1 and Earth 2, I think is the same. I think they are both fighters in different ways. They've had different lives on different Earths. However, they're survivors, and they've both been through a lot. And again, it's that same aspect of we shall overcome.
And in what kind of movie would you see yourself doing in like 10 years or so? What would you love to do?
Really cool to play two things. Well, many things, but being a Bond girl would be awesome. Just putting it out there. Catwoman would be awesome too. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah. I will call the production company.
Perfect.
Yeah,
You're gonna write the script.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, perfect. That makes total sense.
Looks nice.
Hi again. I know it's been a while, but do you still remember what it was like auditioning for Supernatural?
Say something about auditioning for Supernatural.
Do you remember what that was like?
Oh, yes. It was so stressful. Also because I decided to wear these thigh-high boots that were like 6-inch heels, but they weren't like trashy boots. They were classy. They were the nicest pair of boots I owned at the time. And I was like, I'm gonna go. I was scared to death. But I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just fake that I got this. Please, God, tell me I've got this. So I just go in and have this sort of, I think, adrenaline rush, and it was the first time I did not let my fear sort of drive me, and I got out of my own head, and I kind of let go. And then afterwards, I remember I felt so liberated, and then the next day I was working with my acting coach on something else, different audition, but they had helped me with the Supernatural character, and so it was actually when I was in that office that I got the phone call that I got the job, which was a really pretty amazing feeling, and especially to be there with my coach who helped me get it during that phone call, and that whole experience was pretty tremendous.
Do you remember which scene it was or what you had to do?
No. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I apologize. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, but I think our time is already up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. You guys have been phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I have a big applause for
Thank you
Miss
guys
Kitty
so much.
Cassidy? Thank you.